And hey, there we are.
And there we are. I'm adding the last news story. There's been so many breaches. I was actually wrong about how that one occurred. So when we get to the news,
excellent.
It still occurred. It just occurred differently.
Okay, so it was another. Okay, cool.
A different supply chain breach. They're hard to keep straight at this point.
They really are. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 427. Your once-week live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Tom.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, tech, Homelab, server, latest in AI, anything in the news, security vulnerabilities. Lots of those tonight. If you like the content you see on the channel, want to help support us in what we do, consider joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. We also read all super chats on the air, so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel.
Is temporary demonetization okay?
I guess.
Okay. As long as they donate enough to cover it.
I'll allow it. It's that trade.
We'll go with that.
What's that trade deal meme you receive? You receive snarky comment. Yeah. I love the parenting style that you don't get in trouble if it's funny enough. So if you're going to be snarky, make me laugh. So there's your guidelines.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also craftcomputing.store for all of your high-quality merch. Bottle openers, nucleated laser-engraved pint glasses, all of which I make right here in my garage to order. So you place an order, we cut it and send it out. Awesome place to get some fantastic merch, craftcomputing.store. Tom, how's it going? It's been a while since we've talked. You were traveling and I was traveling and none of the weeks lined up. And in fact, they almost didn't line up again, so you're on a week early. Yeah,
so we switched it so they do line up again because I have to travel again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the most ridiculous place on earth, which I'm going to call RSA. I don't know, come up with another acronym, something ridiculous. Ridiculous sales something, I don't know.
Yeah.
It is not a real place. It is seeing someone put $2 million into a booth, but doesn't really tell me what they do. And
yeah,
we were just kind of chatting about that as I wandered around the RSA conference going. It was my first time I'd ever been there, and I will probably in the future have to go again for reasons, but going there just for the fun of it, it was interesting for a day.
Yeah.
And it was just, what does it, like, I seen a castle, and I seen a wrestling match put on by people, and that was a really big booth from Commvault. I think I know what Commvault does, but I don't know why they needed a wrestling match. I don't know what that really has to do with what they actually do.
Yeah.
So it is really fun. It was a fun event. It was a wild event because it was just so absurd. It was. Now, I do know live goats are banned because of an incident last year. Because people are asking, are there any goats this year? And I'm like, apparently they didn't know they needed a rule that you can't have live animals in RSA. They now have a rule that you can have no more live animals in RSA because someone wanted to prove they were the real goat by bringing in lots of goats.
That's funny.
It was in the plural.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because no one remembers what vendor did it. They just know that the goats are banned. Because I asked like 3 people, like, oh, this one people brought in goats last year. Who was it? I don't remember. No one remembers. So it wasn't even worth it.
I don't remember, but no goats are coming back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always great. The, live free and have a rule named after you. Like, that's the way to go.
Yep. That's where we're at with RSA. So it's a ridiculous place. I also went to 2 other conferences that were at the same time, all in San Francisco where I was. Those are good. Those are Hack the Bay Hacking Conference and then B-Side San Francisco. So I went to 2 real hacking conferences where you learn things about security, and then I went to RSA.
Yeah. I was at GTC a couple of weeks ago, so I was in San Jose, probably about the same time that you were. That was fun. Unexpectedly got to tour a secure data center and see an in production, plugged in, and actively doing training workloads GB200 NVL72 SuperPod. So the 8 racks full of NVL72s.
How hot was it?
Yes.
Yes.
They had actually scheduled it so it paused the training workload as we were supposed to be arriving in the room. And it was still like 125 in the hot aisle.
Ooh. That's wild.
Yeah.
I can imagine, as I've been in a server data center where they have the extra big hot aisle for the AI side of the place, and it's just a blow dryer in there, man.
Yeah.
It is so hot.
Yeah. No, it was something. I've been in quite a few data centers. I've never been in one that's this cage of about 20 racks was 1.2 megawatt. I've not been to one of that scale before, and so that was still a little mind bending in certain ways. Like I've seen 35, 40,000
cities
watt
worth of power in these few racks.
Yeah, like I've seen 40 kilowatt racks before, and they're pretty impressive and whatnot. And you walk around the backside, and you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to stand here too long." Yeah, no, this had closed doors on the hot aisle, like a lot of modern data centers will. But you open the door, and it's literally like walking into the worst sauna you've ever been. It's getting off the plane in Phoenix levels of hot. It's nice. 67 degrees on the plane. You're feeling pretty good. You walk off the plane and you get punched in the face. That's what that was.
That is. They paused the training so you could get the film.
Yeah, basically. But no, fully water cooled. Very, very awesome to see. Taylor sends over a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Is 2026 the year of the new studio build? I am actively working on that. We are kind of resurrecting some plans and trying to put something in place for possibly an early to mid-summer build. Awesome. I am one of the worst people I know for setting expectations for timelines, though. So when I say like mid-summer, that means like we won't actually break ground until next March. So... But we're hoping to have all the pieces in place. Yes. Because I have desperately outgrown the space that I'm in right now. And unfortunately, real estate around me ain't cheap. So, yeah, the studio build is pretty much like the only option on the table.
Move to Detroit?
I did float that idea to my wife, and it's not off the table. I'm just going to say that.
I will bring it up only because, one, there's still, I think, a data center for sale down the street. But also, one of my, I had a former employee reunion at my house the other day, and I was talking to him. And one of them, now that he works remote, he's like, I can live anywhere in the country. He's always lived in Michigan. And he started researching the cheapest places to live. Michigan.
Yep.
He says, damn it, I'm in a place already. He's like, I was hoping to like move somewhere, but everywhere's more expensive than where I live now. And I'm like, yeah, it's still cheap living here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's on the table. I don't know how serious it is. Like, some people know, some people don't, but we almost moved about a year ago. It was down to the point of like buying tickets to go look at property, and 0 hour something came up and it ended up not happening. But yeah.
I will look at real estate for you, and I bring that up because I just helped a friend move from across the country to here.
Yeah.
And he sent me a couple of addresses. I told him which one I liked, and I did not expect what he did next was just to buy it.
Yeah.
And then move here without seeing it. It was like, I was like, he's like, yeah. He goes, you in real estate just said it was cool. I was like, it turns out it's a great place. He loves it. He's got 7 acres of property.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, around here, like, I'm looking for, like, office space, but it's got to be office space that isn't, like, on a single shared 15-amp breaker with 7 other offices, because, like, as you saw in the video yesterday, I can bring a 20-amp to its knees any day of the week, and that's just the office, not the rack and everything else that I need to run. And so, trying to find a suitable, like, retail location or office space...
They usually don't have that much power.
They don't have enough power, or the space doesn't work, or it's a terrible lighting, terrible for filming, awful location, whatever it is. There's one near me that actually looks kind of nice. It's 620 square feet, And just for the 4 walls and the roof, it's $1,900 a month.
Woo.
Yeah. That's not electricity. That's not heating. That's not anything else. Oh, and they're on the other power grid, so instead of the 7.4 cents that I pay per kilowatt hour here, it's 21.5. Thank you, Portland Electric.
Well, to give you some comparison, the building that I had for Lawrence Systems, the one we got rid of, is just down the street from me, walking distance from my house. It is 1,900 square feet, and he's willing to lease it right now for $1,200 for the first 2 years, and then $1,600 a month after that for 2,000, just about 2,000 square feet. So,
yeah.
And it has, I think it has 200 amp service at it. So
yeah, for 3.5 times the space, dedicated breaker, 200 amp service. Yeah.
And it's a completely cement building. Like the walls are cement, the ceiling is cement.
Yeah.
So it's very heavy duty.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's already outfitted for a studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got color balanced lights I installed. They didn't take them out.
Finding anything for less than $350 a square foot is basically impossible.
Yeah. It's where I'm at in Michigan too, though, because if you were to go 1 hour north of me, you'd pay prices like you're paying.
Right.
It's a lot higher. My house is worth 4 times as much 1 hour north.
Yeah.
I'm fine not being 1 hour north.
Totally. Yeah.
And I'm only 15 minutes from the airport.
Yeah. I mean, my house is between 2 and 2.5 times more valuable about an hour north from me. So same kind of deal.
Yeah. The world's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, things are at least open to discussion again as far as building a studio. I got a younglings. Excellent.
Yep.
I'm starting off with an NA tonight. I've got some cranberry juice and ginger beer, and it's one of my favorite non-alcoholic combos because you get a little bit of a bite, a little bit of a bittersweet tart.
It is a great combo.
It's just good. Yeah.
I was a wedding photographer for a bit, and people offer you drinks, things like that. So I would get that.
Yeah.
Ginger beer if they had it. They didn't always have it, but at least some soda water and some cranberry, and it was just awesome stuff.
Exactly. And that's because I have this guy coming up for the second half of the show. And this is definitely alcoholic. So we're starting out easy tonight. Green Protagonist sends over $5. Thank you. Optane continues to be a sad part of tech history. People have been trying to use them. How would you deploy Optane PMM for personal use? What config? For personal use, the only advantage or the only thing you can realistically use Optane for is expanded memory. You can't really use... You can use the non-volatile part if you want to have like permanent storage that's super low latency. I demoed that with doing some speed testing and stuff like that on PMM DIMMs. Or you can use it literally as just system memory. And it's still a lot cheaper even today than buying, 128 gig sticks of DDR4. The problem is you can only run it on Cascade Lake. It only runs on second generation scalable. It's still fairly expensive, although it's actually kind of budget bin compared to what DDR4 costs right now. What a 64 gig stick of DDR4 is $350, $400. That's what an Optane 512 PMM costs. But application-specific enhancements are just that. They are application-specific. And you don't run the applications that have those enhancements built in because they are well beyond a Homelab pay grade. So you can use it as storage for some super low latency storage, or you can use it for expanding your memory pool. But that's really it.
Yeah, there's cheaper routes to go.
Yeah.
And even with the memory pricing crisis we're facing right now.
Mm-hmm. Which Gen 5 storage, PMM DIMMs top out at about 3 gigabytes per second read and write, but have super low latency, like single digit latency for 4K IOP reads. And that's where it really shines. It's not really in throughput, it's in the response time. Gen 5 NVMe, your U.2, your E3S, those are doing 12 gigabyte per second read and write, so they're 4 times as fast at throughput. The latency is a little higher, but the latency is still better than what you'd get off like SATA Flash or even, you know, Gen 3 and Gen 4 NVMe. So, and you can get 4 terabyte drives for $1,000 still today. Like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but 4 terabytes of PMEM is more than $1,000. So if it were me, I'd probably go Gen 5 storage at this point.
Modern stuff is just so fast now. These newer AMD chips and everything else. And I'm sure I was looking over it. I have an AMD Ryzen 7 Pro, the 8845HS. So I got one of those. I don't know if they reached out to you, but they're called Harbor OS. Their name will come up again. Yeah. Harbor Innovations.
Good segue.
I actually didn't want it for the review. I wanted it because I wanted them to give me the Harbor OS stuff, which I didn't get. So we'll talk about that later. But I'm impressed with like how low power that thing is.
Oh yeah.
As a piece of hardware, I like the hardware. As software, well, that's what's up for discussion.
Yeah. Some of the Ryzen embedded stuff, the 7945HX, I know the 8845, the 8945, those are 8 and 16 core Zen 4 units. And they're off the charts fast, and power efficient. The 7945HX I have in my ITX gaming rig with an RTX 5090. It keeps the 5090 fed, and the CPU maxes out at 100 watts. It's insane.
And I'm running a bunch of VMs and some containers and Proxmox on it, and it just works. It's like, it's snappy, it's fast. All the little things I need done are just happening, and I'm like watching the wattage going, it's idling at 27 watts.
Yeah. No, they are legitimately nuts. Anyway, yeah, let's dive into kind of the first story here. So this one broke in between our second and third shows in the month. The third show we were at GTC, and so we really didn't talk about it. And then the fur kind of died down a little bit, so we didn't talk about it last week. But then all of a sudden, like, I've been getting pinged repeatedly this last week and seeing new stories crop up. It's finally time to talk about it. TrueNAS is closing their sources. Oh God, they're going full corporate on us. And of course I forgot to set the Firefox window again, because this is a professional show. Firefox, there we go. Got it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Fire and brimstone, the world is ending, you know, TrueNAS IX Systems going full corporate, and they're gonna cancel the community edition and start charging for every feature, and you will own nothing and like it, just like the other corporate overlords that preceded them, right? Well, let's dig in a little closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I still love the people that are, I'm moving to a closed source system since the build scripts are gone.
Yes.
That part is just...
Yes. TrueNAS is not closing their source. What TrueNAS is no longer doing is publishing their build scripts to their open source repository. That is a massive qualifier. What it means is you will no longer have access to the pre-built scripts to build TrueNAS from source. You can still read the code. And if you wanted, you could make your own script and build TrueNAS yourself. There's still nothing against GPL licensing that prevents you from taking an open source repository, building your own build script for it, and then shooting out something on the other side. You still have to follow GPL licensing, though. That's it. That's what's changed. Whenever any piece of open source code goes closed, there's... What's the best approximation I can say of this? I call out Linux users a lot for a lot of hypocrisy, for a lot of holier than thou and altruistic thinking about like how the world should actually work with no regard to how the world actually works.
Yeah.
I love open source. I love open source software. I fully support open source software. I will actively go open source if it is a viable alternative to a closed commercial source. I will even pay for open source software if it's good and works and functional and everything else. What gets me is that massive vocal minority that believes everything should be open and free and doesn't have any clue to the monetary requirements of what they're asking. And let me be clear. I had some thoughts on this when the news first broke, but that's because I did what a lot of people did. I read the title and went, oh, great, here we go. And I actually talked to Chris over at TrueNAS, the honey badger himself, earlier this week, and kind of walked through all of my questions and what does this mean and why was this decision made. And so you can call this a TrueNAS apologist piece if you want, but let's actually break this down from like a business perspective and people who actually use TrueNAS to make money, not just the Homelab side of things. And we could talk about the Homelab side of things too, but
yeah.
First off, why are they closing their sources? Well, it's because, Tom, you actually brought up a great point this last week in one of your videos. If you want to walk us through Harbor OS and the whole fiasco there.
So I purposely wanted to review the Harbor OS thing, and they still won't send me the download link for it. I've been bugging them to. They sent me how to install it, but not where to download it. So the weird debate, and as me and Jeff will talk about from time to time, the behind the scenes of YouTube, these companies want to send us products all the time. But of course, they wanted to send to me with no drives in it. And I said, that's fine. But then they want to send me no memory. I said, that's not fine. I won't review it. But I've been bugging them. I said, I'll try your Harbor OS. Now, Harbor OS is a search and replace, not extremely well done, that use the build scripts to build their own version of TrueNAS and rebrand everything to Harbor OS. It's really confusing as to why. I don't understand any benefit they didn't change it. They didn't add much else. I believe they pulled in a file manager by default, like a couple things they just preloaded, but I was a little fuzzy on that. That's why I wanted to try to figure out what the differences really were, because they couldn't be more vague. Mm-hmm. By the way, I am going to roast them when I do the review on their website, because it says we're open source on GitHub. There's no GitHub link for the company at all that way I can find. It's not on their pages anywhere. It's they just like the GitHub icon, so they stuck it in their marketing materials, which also makes me chuckle. But they have videos now they've done on how to install, but not where to get the Harbor OS thing. But it goes to, like, it would have made more sense for them just to load TrueNAS and say, look, we can run TrueNAS. You know what TrueNAS is. We know what TrueNAS is. And we're a hardware company selling hardware. Why'd they even get into the software side of it at all? It doesn't seem to have any benefit. So that's where the build script thing kind of comes, because now you're kind of encroaching and violating GPL licenses and just using the build scripts. So I believe, and it's one of those things that Chris are, part of IX Systems. IX Systems has corporate attorneys, and they don't want to call out people. They don't want to call out brands. You don't want to call names to people, so they don't say anything. They can't say it directly. NetGate's had some of the same things, and where they've had people taking their intellectual property and loading it, and maybe they're doing some cease and desist, but they don't want to be part of a legal battle where there's ammunition they can add by stating things on their site about these other companies. Yeah. So I'm not under such restrictions, so I can say what I want, and so can Jeff. Yeah. So it's kind of just a weird, it's just a weird way they're going about it. And they're probably not the only company. They're just one of them that I know of, because I've seen it within the YouTube ecosystem, and the company they were really bugging me to review it. And it's only when I seen their name and learned about this Harbor OS thing that it made me interested. Actually, I kind of like the hardware. I will say the hardware is not bad. Yeah. So my review will be coming soon, and I do like the hardware. I just don't understand the software side of it.
Yeah, I've called this out numerous times for a number of appliances that I've looked at, and mini PCs and things like that. And it's not that I don't believe software projects should exist, but I've called out companies for trying to build their own RGB software to control their own thing, when RGB is a very well understood protocol at this point. There's a dozen different software packages that are way better than anything Gigabyte or Asus or certainly MSI could ever possibly pump out for their motherboard. That's not just a bloated malware piece of garbage. why don't you just link to OpenRGB and do that? Or better yet, contribute to OpenRGB, help them develop it, you integrate some of your features with OpenRGB, so everything just kind of works, rather than trying to do the whole damn thing yourself. Car infotainment. Chevy, why are you trying to side road Android Auto? Everyone already has a cell phone in their pocket, and Android Auto has an entire team that is dedicated to doing nothing but making sure phone interoperability of every vehicle on the planet is a thing. Your software team is not better than their software team, so stop trying to make your own thing because you want to run everything yourself. There is a thing of supporting the community that you're a part of. And Harbor OS,
I see someone point out it's on their website. Maybe it wasn't when I looked, because I've had this thing for several weeks, and when I looked before, I did not look like recently. So it's interesting if they did add it to their site.
Yeah. Is Harbor the Kubernetes one, or is that something?
No.
Okay. I
That's
can't even
different.
find Harbor OS.
Right.
Like,
Google searching doesn't find it. You have to look for like the Nexus AI station by Harbor Innovation, and then you'll find it. It's a weird
Okay.
I
There it is.
bookmarked all this stuff to find it.
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone said there's a download on their site. Maybe.
Well, let's take a look. Because I'm curious. And they sell things like tablets and
They
chargers,
sell all kinds of random things.
and all of a sudden they have a NAS product. Like,
I know.
cool.
Well, oh no, the plot thickens. I'm gonna find the name of it real quick here, because there's more notes I found doing some research. Because the other name this has is Morphine. I'm gonna send it to you so you can just click on it.
No.
Why did it do that? That is not what I wanted it to do. There we go. Click on that link.
Yeah.
Because the plot thickens more when you click that one. You're like, huh? I think these are the people that actually make the hardware.
Okay. Yep. That's the same product, ain't it?
Yep, identical. Now, almost identical. The one difference between this and the Morphine one, they put a 400 watt power supply in this one, and Harbor OS puts an 800 watt. So there is a difference, but that's the only one, because you can put a video card in it. So 800 watts good if you want.
Yeah.
For the video card support, more wattage. Cool.
Yeah. Again, this is just off the shelf hardware. It's an ITX board with a Flex ATX power supply. Like, nothing.
It is a custom board.
Is it a custom board? Okay.
It's custom to that case, and it's
Okay.
using that AMD low power chip.
Yeah.
So that's a mobile chip, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the 8845HS is one of their mobile workstation chips. So it has the 3 compute unit graphics on it, just enough for video output and basic, integrated graphics.
Yeah.
But, Zen 4, good chip.
Yeah. It seems very well made.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper to buy from Morphine, other than the fact that it has a smaller power supply in it. But the power supply is actually a server power supply, a hot swap one, but they only have one.
Oh, interesting.
So it's technically not a hot swap.
Yeah.
It also is on all the time.
Oh, it is on rails. Okay, I see that now. It looked like a flex unit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's a neat design. I like it.
This page is awful. It will not load. Okay, there we go. It wouldn't let me scroll down to show it. So yeah, no, it's
for reasons I can't explain. Right next to that power supply is the HDMI.
Yeah.
So they give you a right angle adapter, but it faces the wrong way, so it won't work. Because on that side, the metal comes down further and it interferes with the HDMI. So I had to order, if I wanted to use it while it's in its upright position, I ordered one that went the other way. I needed a left hand, not a right hand HDMI adapter. It was just a weird product.
Okay, because the shell on this side comes all the way down, and you can route cables up or down. But yeah, if you give me a left facing, you're gonna just
that's what
hit
they
the
did. They
cage.
shipped me a left facing one. These are all notes going into the review.
Yeah, nice.
Because it's funny.
Anyway, so why the back and forth with HarborOS and TrueNAS, and then TrueNAS cutting their build? Well, HarborOS is basically a reskin of TrueNAS, with HarborOS claiming it as their own system. They're not giving credit. They are selling it in a retail product. They're doing everything wrong via GPL. And one of the points that TrueNAS brought up in their subsequent messaging after they said we're closing the build source is, look, a lot of companies aren't respecting the GPL, and they originate in parts of the world that DMCA and property rights and whatnot really has no jurisdiction from a US company. And so we can send all the DMCAs in the world, but if they're still able to ship a product, then they're using our product in a competing product. Corporate lawyers don't like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's already, as we've shown, HarborOS makes lots of things, and it's actually the Morphine company that probably makes it originally, and then HarborOS rebranded that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why. Now, I know the reason I called out the open source purists is the open source purists are going to have a huge problem with the build scripts not being available. But as I said, for 99.999, you can throw one more 9 on there too, percent of the user base of TrueNAS, this is literally a non-issue. As I said, I'm not a programmer. I don't audit code. I appreciate that open source exists. The way that I contribute to open source is by filing bug reports, by getting on forums and discussing things that I run into, by talking to developers and the community at large to find out what features people are using, how they're working, do they need improvement, messaging, all that kind of stuff. That is still a contribution to the open source project, even if I'm not writing lines of code.
And there was a lot of discussion around there about, well, can't TrueNAS fund things another way? People were asking for, and I've seen someone mention it, they would like TrueNAS to be sold without buying IX Systems hardware. The big challenge in that, and there's a lot of them, is I literally run a consulting company still, and people are like, oh, they could just sell consulting. I'm like, you don't realize that most of my consulting, it's really difficult because it's not a problem with TrueNAS. It's a problem with the TrueNAS isn't working right. Oh, now I'm solving a network engineering problem. I'm solving an MTU problem because someone thought 9,000 MTU would work and didn't understand that you had to set it in the switch, and just all kinds of other things. And they have a higher level engineer on staff with a high payroll, and then this kind of randomness of, you know, ups and downs of, we have demand now, people are willing to pay, we have no demand, people aren't willing to pay. How do you keep that engineer on staff? I have a whole thing. I broke down how my business works, and also probably why IX Systems doesn't want to try to adopt that business model, because it's not an easy one to manage. And there's that. The other one people were complaining about is reproducible builds. That is a pipe dream. They've never had reproducible builds. And when people complain about it, Chris had my favorite answer of, clearly none of you have ever tried this. The fact that all of you are arguing about it, because we don't have reproducible builds. And Chris breaks down all the technical engineering that goes into repeatable builds. And he says, we're never doing that engineering. Sorry, it's not happening. Build script or not, we're not doing it. It's just something that we don't have enough engineering time. And people say, well, isn't it done by this company or that company? He goes, sure, they have the ability to do the engineering time into it. If someone wants to, you know, handle that for us, cool. But the other thing that I want to really knock home that a lot of people just have the hardest time understanding, there are two very different types of open source projects. And there is someone working on some little thing that probably led to some of these supply chain issues that we'll be talking about later. And those are sometimes independent developers who are just making a thing, making a library. But when it comes to making a full product at the scale that TrueNAS operates at, or that Netgate operates at with pfSense, TrueNAS has 0 people working for free on TrueNAS writing code. 100% of the developers are workers that are employed by IX Systems and doing this for open source. That is something I think that shocks people. have been in the open source industry enough to not really think a lot about that. I just know that's how it works. But I realized that discussion came up, and it seemed to be surprising to many people that open source is wait, there's not just a bunch of rando people and Chris just tell them what to do. No, these are payrolled people that Chris is telling people what to do.
What was their pay? 200 engineers, I believe, is what TrueNAS employs, something like that.
They have quite a few people there. I'm trying to remember I don't remember the exact breakdown for what devs work on that, because some devs work on other things related to that. IX Systems is a pretty big outfit. They've been around since the 80s building hardware.
Yeah.
So they've been around forever doing this. Matter of fact, they didn't acquire, I think it's until 2010 is when they acquired the project.
TrueNAS, right? Yeah.
And for those that didn't know some of the weird history, TrueNAS was a fork off of the Monowall framework, which was the fork that also produced pfSense. So if you can believe that, if you go back into history far enough, pfSense and TrueNAS converge.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just forks of the same project. It's great.
They're forks of the same project. They went in different directions, firewalls versus storage.
Yep. But yeah, and as you said, there's multiple kinds of open source projects. TrueNAS is a corporate-backed open source project, which means they pay developers and engineers to develop it. They offer it up as open source, which means you can download it for free. You can run it. They have a community edition that is fully open source, fully free, no gotchas, no add-in payments. That gives them a large install user base. They use that large install user base to track issues, to track fringe cases of problems that come up with the hardware or kernel or configurations or menus or whatever else. And they use that to engineer their enterprise component, which they sell dedicated hardware for. The enterprise version of TrueNAS has direct tie-ins with custom hardware features that they have engineered specifically to give their product an edge. That's where you get the things like their multi-system high availability. They sell you a chassis with 2 motherboards, 4 power supplies, multiple boot drives, and everything else, and you can pull any component from an active system, and the system will not die.
Yep.
You can pull any component. Yeah.
You can pull a motherboard. And I have a video where I did that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of engineering to build that. It's also worth noting that, like, they don't want to, and I don't want to either, even though I do consulting, and I am an IX system reseller. I'm also a 45 drives reseller. One of the reasons when people say, will you support my custom build? No. Not when you ask questions like, I would like to get this many IOPS. And I'm like, no problem. Let me sell you the IX systems or 45 drive certified hardware that will give you the IOPS and warranty and SLA agreement. But Tom, I'd rather you build it for me and pick out this box of random parts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I won't guarantee the IOPS in the same way. I certainly won't warranty it in the same way. Yeah. That's why those exist for the enterprise environments that, know what's up, know what they want. And we almost always sell a 5-year support agreement when we sell an IX Systems piece of hardware. Yes, it's expensive, but downtime, they measure downtime in millions per hour. So
yeah,
spending $100,000, $200,000 on a server box with dual failover, pretty good risk mitigation.
That's a rounding error.
It's a rounding error for the scale at which they operate at.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. We do have a super chat to get to. Elmo sends over $133. Happy birthday to all naval chiefs. Navy General Order 409 on April 1st, 1893 established the rank of Chief Petty Officer, and today we celebrate its 133rd birthday. I am celebrating with just one drink tonight. The Bloodthorn Brew from the Mystic Libations cocktail book from Todd Stashwick. Hopefully I make it to the end of the night. Elmo, how are you enjoying that drink so far?
Bloodthorn Brew sounds good.
I
don't know what it is.
You have no idea. This is something straight out of Michigan, too.
Really?
Well, technically Chicago, because Todd Stashwick's from Chicago. But so Todd Stashwick, Captain Liam Shaw on Star Trek Picard, wrote a Dungeons & Dragons cocktail-inspired book called Mystic Libations. So it took themes from his D&D campaign that he runs and added cocktails. There's also a one-shot campaign in the back of the book if you want to play his story, which is really fun. But the signature cocktail of the book is called the Bloodthorn Brew. It is 1 12-ounce bottle of Dragon's Milk, New Holland Dragon's Milk, and 4 ounces of a chocolate port wine.
Okay.
That's it. That's the cocktail.
I will do that. I mean, I seen someone post it in there, and I'm like, it makes me think of Dragon's Milk, and I'm okay.
Yep.
I like Dragon's Milk.
Exactly.
I don't have it all the time. I gotta have it earlier in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me if I drink it at night, it gives me a little bit of heartburn. So you gotta like digest that.
10% in a 12-ounce bottle will certainly do that. But so we don't get a lot of chocolate ports around here. They're really difficult to find for some reason here in Oregon. So I had a couple. I had tried some specifically to try that, and I never liked any of the bottles that I bought. And I'm like, I'm not going to waste the Dragon's Milk, on this crappy port. Finally, I went out and spent $35 on a bottle of Tawny Port, which is a little bit more of a candied finish, and that mixed beautifully. And then so that was in the video that went live yesterday. Was I had the Bloodthorn Brew in a video off camera. The next day, I tried it again, but I added some Thai bitters to the mix, and that jumped up the spice and the bite right off the bat considerably. And holy crap, that was good. So yeah, just like 2 or 3 dashes of a Thai bitters or a chili bitters, if you can find one. It adds a bit of heat right off the bat, and then you get like this chocolate coffee. With the tawny, it was almost like one of the Queen Anne's chocolate cherries that you get. And so real sweet, little bit of hint of fruit. Highly recommended.
I love a good port.
Yeah.
So I know I want a port. I think there's some upstairs.
Yeah, port and Cabernet are kind of my 2 go-tos for wine. Not much of a white wine drinker, but red wine, drown me in it.
Oh, man. So someone said helium supply becoming even more. No, it's not. I got balloons upstairs. I got plenty.
You should start a silicon fab if you got so much helium.
I got enough helium to start a silicon fab. We're going to just do that in my basement here.
No, we actually did talk about the helium issue, I think last week. Might have been. I know it's come up.
I feel like there was a Vsauce or Veritasium video on it.
Yeah,
I watched it. I never really thought about the level of short supply or the fact that we can't just make helium.
Yeah, helium is a found resource a la natural gas, and it's a byproduct of mining for crude oil. And that's how we get the world's supply of helium. And what's funny is it's such a commodity that, you can go down to Party Depot and buy a helium tank and fill balloons with it. Like it's that readily available, but it is also a key component in silicon manufacturing. Yeah. And also, interestingly enough, in some beverage manufacturing as well. There was an issue a couple years ago where supplies of helium were starting to drop, and some of the beer industry was actually impacted by that. So, yeah, the heck with the silicon industry. Like, they can go down in flames, but don't take my beer from me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of our drives are filled with helium as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. What do we want to talk about next? We kind of mentioned the supply chain infiltration. You want to jump onto that one?
Yeah. So we have a couple problems here in the supply chain. We can start with the Axios one, but then there's the Trivy one as well that hit Cisco. Trivy was first. Axios is bigger.
And actually first, sorry, before we dive in, I completely forgot. We do have a sponsor on today's video. So
well, let you read that.
Let's do that. Let's make some money before we go into the next one.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
While I enjoy tinkering on my Homelab and all my networking equipment, if you run a business, you've probably got better things to do with your time, unless you're Tom and your business is doing networking, in which case, tinker away. That's where Meter comes in. Meter delivers an all-in-one networking stack that bundles everything you need into a single package, including high-speed wired and wireless networking, power delivery, firewall and routing, and even cellular, all in a single integrated solution that's built for performance and scalability. Meter handles everything from designing a custom network for your business and will even negotiate with your local ISPs to get you the best rates on internet connectivity. All of that shows up in a single cloud-based dashboard, giving you clear visibility into every layer of your network. You get the connectivity your business needs, all for a predictable monthly cost. Meter ships the hardware you need today and will automatically upgrade your hardware as time goes on, ensuring your users and your business always have the tools and connectivity they need. Whether you're starting a new business, expanding to new locations, or simply modernizing an aging network, let Meter take care of the hassle for you. Visit meter.com/craftcomputing to book a demo today and see what they can do for your business. Again, that's meter.com/craftcomputing, and a huge thanks to Meter for sponsoring today's episode.
And thank you, for Meter, for having wonderful B-roll.
Yes. Their renders are gorgeous, I will say.
The renders are gorgeous.
They're really, really good.
I am happy with these things.
I did say I did give them some feedback. I wish they weren't 21:9 because whenever I'm trying to fit it into something, especially in this, which is almost a square aspect ratio,
yeah,
it gets a little difficult to frame it. So I said, can you give me
weird
some like
they're all in 21:9?
Yeah, can you give me some vertical? Can you give me some horizontal? Can you give me some classic 16:9, maybe some square stuff? Let me fit it into the content that I need to fit it in. That'd be fantastic.
This looks great on some of your designers' monitors, but not the average.
Right.
Oh man.
All right. So yeah, interesting week in the world of. Well, should we blame open source for this? Because these are all open source packages. You should be able to audit these, right?
Right, absolutely. Just go ahead and why not?
All you people who are building TrueNAS from source, I'm sure you verified your NPM packages before you downloaded and updated your system kernel, right? Right?
Yep.
Right?
I'm sure. I'm positive. People are looking through all that code and making sure. Now, granted, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah.
The fact that it's open source is how we're able to quickly identify what happened in each of these packages. So the Trivy one was interesting. So Trivy is a tool to scan your repository, your Docker images, and say, hey, are the dependencies what you think they should be, or are they outdated? And it's funny, I did a video on Dockhand, which of course sent people crazy because it has the Trivy thing in it. And it was before the attack on it. But what made people crazy is they started scanning their Docker images and panicking. I'm like, oh, now you understand my years of complaining about Docker, of why I have security concerns with Docker. Because the concept of Docker is really simple. It works on my machine, so I'll ship you my machine.
Yeah.
And you're learning the horrors of developers. Developers will pin packages because they don't want to upgrade. There's some feature they're using that's deprecated in the new version, so they pinned, I'm going to use version 2.1, even though we're all the way at version 6 now, because everything after 2.1 breaks my build.
Yep.
And then you run Trivia on your Docker image, you're like, they ship me their computer. No, they ship me their vulnerability laden system of old things. Yeah. So this is what eventually led to Trivy being a popular scanner, and it led to the breach in Cisco.
I had not heard this one until 2 minutes before we went live. Because I knew about the Axios thing, and obviously there's been a lot of discussion around that. But
Axios is bigger.
Yeah, because Axios is bigger. But bring me up to speed with the Cisco.
Yeah, so Cisco apparently is using Trivy. Guess how we know. Apparently they were scanning on there, and it had, once again, some implants. Now, the way it's used in Dockhand, I've seen someone says Arcane uses as well. I don't know anything. I've not used Arcane, but the way it's used in Dockhand, good news is you're not at risk. It only scans in Dockhand. It doesn't do anything. But Trivy has other features. The features clearly that Cisco is using, which is go ahead and validate things. It has a deeper level of access where it can look at environment files, and then it can extract data out of those environment files. And with the environment files for your Docker Compose file, that may also contain things like, keys to repositories and API information, and whatever they needed to get the Cisco source code, because that was the end result of that particular attack. So yeah. Cisco accidentally went open source. Or at least someone got the source code. I don't think it's published. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But obviously they're going to use it for deeper attacks because Cisco's one of these companies. It's a old legacy company, so I'm positive there's a lot of security that they hope remains there because of the obscurity of the code. Unfortunately, it's now been unobscured, and well, we're gonna ramp up them Cisco CVEs that we see popped out.
Yep.
That's my feeling of how that's gonna go.
Yep. According to the Bleeping Computer article, Cisco's breach was caused this month by Trivi's vulnerability scanner supply chain attack, in which threat actors compromised the project's GitHub pipeline to distribute credential stealing malware through official releases and GitHub actions. And malware is really funny sometimes because, I mean, you can go back to the old Stuxnet example of, like, sometimes malware is very targeted, but it will still distribute everywhere and will only activate once it hits a certain machine or infiltrates a certain user group, which is why Stuxnet was deployed to 300 million machines before it was discovered, because it just laid dormant until it landed on, funny enough, was it Iran's nuclear facility? And all of a sudden it caused chaos and melted down one of their fabs. And did its job, but it took 300 million infections to be able to do that.
It also is interesting when you look at the SolarWinds attack. A lot of people dismiss it as interns setting things to SolarWinds 1, 2, 3, but I did a deep dive on it several years ago based on some really good publications. I took the time to watch the congressional hearings that were done by, I believe it was Mandiant at the time before they were bought by Google, and walking through the staged payload system and the way it would work, because it was really impressive, because it would auto-delete itself to hide the fact that it existed. And this is kind of what we're seeing with the Axios ones. It was very targeted. It did not just detonate on run. It was more restrictive and chose its targets a lot more carefully to somewhat evade detection. And the SolarWinds one is still one of the most impressive ones I've ever seen, because of the level. To give people a quick fun history, they staged the payload in February and then let it sit for a while, then deployed it in July, and then did something that malware and threat actors generally don't do. They removed it. They removed it from the build source. So anytime after July and into August, all the builds are clean. And when it got discovered all the way in December, only because Mandiant kept snapshots of all their previous builds, they kept walking backwards until they could find a build that had it. And then they had to go backwards in time. It was so weird because nobody, when you have that level of access to an enterprise piece of software, the SolarWinds tool that they were using was specifically the network management tool that's used in pretty much all of the enterprise. I think they said like every Fortune 500 company pretty much uses this tool, so it's embedded. And you walked out your access after you had it, like, because once they got where they wanted to be, they were like, "Cool, let's hide how we got here." And boy, did they make it hard. And only it was the hubris that got them, because they had poked at I think it was, I'm almost positive it was Mandiant. They poked at Mandiant, and that's how they go, "Oh, you guys were in our stuff." And they were kind of like poking at them, and they're like, "How'd you get here?" And those are the people actually had the ability to dig in there.
It's always,
but that brings us to the Axios stuff.
Yes. Yeah. This one is definitely a much bigger deal, much more widespread. So yeah. All you open source people who go, well, I run nothing but open source because I validate every bit. No, you don't. No. Stop it.
Yeah, and this masqueraded with a second stage payloader, because even though people could see the code, it took a little bit of investigation to realize there was an extra library in there. I believe it was called like Crypto.js or something like that.
Which is plain Crypto.js.
Yeah, plain crypto.
Yeah.
But there's another one that has a similar name that is the actual one. So this dependency goes in, and then it goes ahead and pulls under the conditions that are met. It adds, and it's really clever, the level of hiding they did on this to make it so even if you scan the Axios, there's nothing you actually find there. It's going through, you have to go through the stage loader, you have to get that thing to activate. I watched John Hammond did a breakdown on this. Now, the other thing that was fascinating to me is the developer was trying to figure out, they're like, there's not an, I can't figure out how. The person was very public. Like, it's my account that was compromised. I don't know how. And they still haven't got, to my knowledge, they have not released any information, or at least explained how the developer goes, my passwords weren't changed or anything like that. But there was a hint that the person said, it looks like someone used my backup code, but how'd they get it? So there's maybe a hint that it might have been a backup code used to get in, but that should have set off an alert.
Yeah.
And like, for the person, if someone uses a backup code on your account, usually it lets you know, hey, a backup code has been used.
Yeah.
So how they mask that, what level of access do they have to the developer system to be able to do this? That's going to be a big question that comes up. I'm looking forward to a really good debrief on it, because this particular attack seems like it was on a developer who was not just sloppy, not using 2FA or anything like that. This person seems to have their account locked down. So really interesting what level was gone through. It's not like some of the other stupid ones, like the unpatched Plex server that led to LastPass breach. Like, they were running Plex on a public system, unpatched, and it had the keys to the LastPass build system. Come on.
Yeah.
That's not real life, is it?
Which is why you don't run personal projects on production hardware.
Yeah. Someone says it was hacked with an old API token. Okay. I have not kept up with the most recent, like, exactly how they hacked. So
yeah.
Roll your API tokens. That is something that just doesn't happen very often. I keep track of that stuff. Maybe I'm just weird, I guess. I was just building one because just before the show started, I was setting up an OpenClaw server, and I'll set expiration times on tokens just so they don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't mind the fact that I know it's going to break something, because I put a notice when the thing's going to break.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What's funny is the recommendation for password rotation for humans is mostly a bad idea unless you use nothing but a password manager and you are like a layer removed from trying to remember passwords. You just keep a notebook of encrypted passwords, and you can fling them out at whatever interval you need. And every 20 days or 45 days or whatever company policy is, you just regenerate essentially a new token. That's great. Telling users that they need to come up with a brand new unique password every 45 days. Have you met people?
Yeah. This is how we got summer 2026 and then fall 2026.
Every conference I go to now, it's really funny. You don't need to know the Wi-Fi password to go to Nvidia GTC or an Intel event or an AMD event, because all of them are Intel 2026 bang, or AMD 2026 bang, or GTC 2026 bang. Every public Wi-Fi convention you will ever go to, that's the password scheme. So if you're walking around a convention center somewhere, you can just type the name of the event, the year, and then an exclamation point at the end, and you will get on the Wi-Fi. Guaranteed.
Yep.
Because people are forgetful, and we don't like writing in nonsense strings. But for API tokens, same thing. It's a computer doing it. It's a random string of letters, numbers, symbols. Cool. Let's let a computer do what it does best, which is read any character as a character and remember that on its own. So maybe not make your users rotate their passwords, but still practice good password security and whatnot. 2FA, make sure that's enabled. But your API tokens, absolutely expire the crap out of those.
Yeah, I actually have a puzzle how YouTube handles that, because I've realized there's a lot of them created by StreamYard, because I use that to connect to my YouTube account, and I don't see any way to mass purge them. I see a way to individually purge them.
Yeah.
The problem is I've done several hundred live streams, so there's several hundred to click on now. So I'll sort that problem out later. I just realized there's a lot of API keys. I don't think I'm really at risk for it, but it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said the LastPass Plex hack was, one of those all-time things. It was actually, in my head at least, superseded by the 3CX hack. The 3CX, if you're not familiar, if you're in the enterprise world, 3CX is one of the most popular phone systems out there. Large companies use this, and everyone uses, especially with all people working from home, the desk phone application. second stage payloader, really good embedding, so it wouldn't deploy unless you're, I don't know, Nike, Coca-Cola. They found the target list inside of it. It was all these big companies.
Yeah.
But that hack happened because the lead developer downloaded some crazy software that was for stock trading that was expired and went through a lot of extra steps in saying yes to them, like clicking on expired certs and installing this. So his stock trading things he was doing on his same computer he did development work on for 3CX, and that was their ingress in, was that. So I believe it was the North Koreans, at least they suspected it, where I don't know if they had full attribution.
Yeah. In fact, I just pulled up the old article from that. This was from 2023, almost 3 years ago now.
Yep.
But yeah, supply chain compromise, North Korean actor suspected. Yep.
Yeah, and it was some type of stupid gambling or stock trading app.
Yeah.
Stock trading, gambling, it's the same thing. Fight me in the comments.
Mandiant Consulting investigation of the 3CX supply chain compromise has uncovered the initial intrusion vector, a malware-laced software package distributed via an earlier software supply chain compromise that began with a tampered installer for Xtrader, a software package provided by Trading Technologies. Mandiant determined that a complex loading process led to the development or deployment of Veiled Signal, a multi-stage modular backdoor, and its modules.
I won't throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
But I have a fun story. So if you're doing things at scale and you work for a very large company and you actually care about security, and this goes back a number of years to when my friend moved, you do all of your code work on a separate lockdown. Matter of fact, there's not email on the code signing system that they have. So everything was a series. They probably do. It's probably like 8 or 9 years ago they did this. But trust me, this is a company everyone's heard of, so I won't say it. But my friend thought he was going to get fired because he lost the laptop that was able to sign. Because when he moved, they said whenever it's not in the safe, it always must be within his physical view. And if it's not, they roll keys. So like if it ever is out of your view.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't just get out of his view. It got out of his rear view mirror because he put it on the roof and drove 20 miles before he realized it was on the roof and then realized it's not on the roof. So they never did find it.
Yeah.
And we're not, it was locked. It was off. It had a password to turn on. And we were pretty sure it was crushed because he was on the freeway.
Yeah.
But there's a large company that had a minor disruption because they had to roll a whole lot of keys because he accidentally put it on top of his car when he was moving, because it was the last thing he moved when he took it out of his safe, which I thought was hysterical.
Yeah. We had in a safe in one of our offices a pair of those old iron keys, those epoxy filled RSA 256 encrypted USB sticks. That had basically like master recovery passwords and credentials for a couple of our main deployment services. And yeah, it was the same deal. Is I hold one key, but my key alone doesn't open the safe. I have to get the CEO to open the other key. And then only one of those is removed. We both have to verify it closes. And then that is either in my pocket or physically on my person at all times until it gets placed back in the safe.
Yeah. It's good.
Only had to use it once.
Really solid process of it. I've seen someone mention passkeys. I've ranted about it before. Maybe I'll rant again in a future video because I still haven't completely solved this. Passkeys for the average person are a great moving forward with passwords. I like them. Passkeys in high security environments start to bring up question because of the implementation. The problem with passkeys is a lot of companies implement it in a way that lets you bypass 2FA. Looking at you, GitHub.
Yeah. And
when you set up a passkey, even though it bypasses 2FA, some people say, well, the 2FA is the blinky light and touch it for attestation that you're there. Except you can lie about attestation. That's how password managers work. When they store a passkey, such as Bitwarden, it actually lies that it's attesting that someone's there. It's just clicking a button for you. It says use a passkey. If your password manager's unlocked, it'll go, I'll fill this passkey in for you and let you log in. The threat model is if someone compromises your password manager, there's no compensating control for you to not have that data allowing people to log in. So if someone compromises Bitwarden, and you have passkeys in there, they can log into every site that uses a passkey that didn't implement a secondary 2FA.
Yep.
That bothers me.
Yeah. Yep.
I think they should have an option, like on my normal user, click the high security button where it asks me for my passkey and TOTP.
Yep.
That would be a reasonable ask. That's one of the reasons I don't use it on some place like it. Now, if you're using it with a key, like a physical YubiKey or something similar, another FIDO key, it's fine because someone has to physically have my FIDO key, and that's a higher bar.
Yeah.
And you can request, if you're building a website, you can request the type of device they sign. You can actually block password managers from using that. So if you went into the site, if you're a site builder, you can say, I only want these specific keys or even one specific key, like a physical YubiKey, and you can even specify the model. That YubiKey is what they have to have, or you can't go to this site.
Yeah.
Kind of cool they have that.
Yeah, or it triggers a 2FA if it's another model or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't use the passkeys for some of the main sites. You'd think of them as retail sites like eBay and Amazon, and some people ask, well, why? Well, if it's compromised, they can buy stuff with your accounts and whatnot. Well, yeah, that's part of it. But you have to remember, from my perspective, I'm also an affiliate partner with eBay and Amazon. It's not just, oh, they have access to my credit card. It's they have access to banking information and $10,000 to $20,000 in affiliate sales every year for each site.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, they can buy things with my account. No, they can literally directly take money, and that's a problem.
Yeah. And I seen someone says Bitwarden has it so you can set individual passwords, require a master password, and that's fine, but it's if there's a compromise of Bitwarden in some way. I don't know anyway, and it's gone through a lot of testing, and no one's found a way, which is wonderful. And the same goes for many of the other password managers. I just happen to use Bitwarden, so I speak of them.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't... I always like a compensating control. That's why Bitwarden is not on my phone. I have a phone that has my TOTP codes. I have Bitwarden that's on my computer. The two shall not meet.
Yep.
Just details. Like I worry about these things.
Yeah.
I see someone was really trying to reset my Reddit password last week. They were having a great old time.
So, someone tried to reset my Instagram this last week. I don't use Instagram, but I have a placeholder account for me if I ever decided to use it. I have placeholder accounts all over the place. But yeah, I got like 4 or 5 login blocks to my email. I'm like, huh, that's weird. Well, cool. The password still works. That's great.
Yep. They were just sending password reset requests to my Reddit account. Lots of them.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Maybe they'll get bored. The next day they did.
Yep.
Yeah. Though that's kind of an Office 365 has that feature. Once you know someone's Office 365 login, you can just hammer them with password reset requests. There's if anyone wants to dig into how this works, we were actually doing it for science. For a hacking thing we were doing, and it was a talk we did at a hacking conference. But I learned something really cool. There's a tool called Trevor Spray, and it lets you do mass logins to Office 365. You can do this with IPv6 because Microsoft does have rate limiting. But do you know how cheap it is to get any hosting provider to give you a giant block
to get a block of IPv6? Yeah.
Yeah, and you can then queue up your entire list of IPv6 as sources, and Trevor Spray is smart enough to understand your block and rotate through the outbound IP addresses as it goes through. And so you can try a lot of passwords.
Yeah.
It's a fun time. IPv6 for the win. Microsoft has no way to rate. Doesn't have a way to. Maybe they've changed it. At the time, there was not a way I could find, and it could be because I'm an idiot with Microsoft. I didn't know of any way to block IPv6 logins with Microsoft. So, another reason to block IPv6. I tell people, which should anger some people in the comments.
I'm sure it will.
Increased security.
I'd argue increased obscurity.
Yeah, increased obscurity.
Yeah.
Should we throw Claude open source in here?
Sure. That one made me laugh uncontrollably. Anthropic, and this actually led to a pretty good discussion around intellectual property and rights holders and decompilation, recompilation, rehosting, all kinds of fun, like little tangent conversations from this. Anthropic accidentally open sourced Claude, their programming superpower AI program that they're making everyone pay for. The really fun part is this is basically all of their front end, which means if you hook your own LLM into this, you can just run it.
Yeah.
Because it's just an LLM on the back end. The LLM wasn't open source, but everything else was.
Yeah, and trust me, this is something all the other competitors are really looking at.
Yeah.
Most competitors have a more simplistic system that sits between you and the LLM to do the filtering and the guardrails. They have a really complex system, and the complex system gave a lot of insights into why Claude generally seems better, all the different guardrails it has in there. They also have some poison pills in it, and the poison pills are, this is something I thought was really interesting. I did not expect this number to be this low. I believe it was only about 100,000 queries where you can infer, you can keep doing these queries and rebuild and train an LLM on another LLM, like to get the knowledge out of it. I was shocked at how few queries you needed to make that work. I always thought the queries would be more, but because people do this, I've been reading kind of back and forth like how they're combating this, and they have a series of poison pills, and all of that was leaked.
Yeah.
All of that came out because how they were doing it was different than other people suspected, but it also has things like don't answer these questions, which those are the questions that kind of, now that we know not to answer those questions, now we know how to get around and answer those questions.
Right.
So there's an absolute ton of reverse engineering going on right now.
Yeah. We got talking about the intellectual property of the source code itself on my Discord earlier this week. And one of the funny things to come out of this was people are just left and right rehosting the source code on GitHub. So you could extract the source code from Anthropic, you could post it to GitHub, hey, look, here's their source code. The thing about that is they still own that source code, and so they can send a DMCA, and the DMCA has to be honored. The funny thing is that if you simply plug their source code into Anthropic and say, please rewrite this in C++ or in Python or something else, you have now decompiled and recompiled the source code, which is fully legal and legitimate.
You can't do a DMCA now.
Right, you can't do a DMCA because it's a transformative work. And people go, well, it was still their property, you shouldn't be able to do that. Actually, because it was Anthropic themselves that accidentally published the code, just like the thing with torrenting, again, I am not a lawyer. If you want to download Linux ISOs, or even more bold, not Linux ISOs, it's actually not the downloading of content that gets you in trouble. It's the re-upload. It's the sharing of that file once you've downloaded it. If it's available on the internet, it's free to pull. That's not the illegal part. And so downloading the source code from Anthropic is not illegal. And once you have it, it's just things that you can read. And there's nothing illegal with reading things that you're not privy to from a company standpoint. That's a civil issue, if anything, and a pretty flimsy one at that, since it was Anthropic themselves that caused the issue in the first place. But we go on. Decompilation and reverse engineering are fully protected statutes in the DMCA. So that's why Nintendo can't go after the recompilation or decompilation projects like Ocarina of Time, Ship of Arcanian, or the Star Fox reboot, or any of these other projects, because they're not actually distributing Nintendo code. What someone did is they decompiled the code, rewrote it, and then reassembled it, which is a fully legal process. You can do that. It's why those projects haven't been taken down. And so, if you're using an AI tool to take a source code and translate it to another language, that is now protected. That is now your code.
Yeah. It's being rebuilt in Rust, among other languages.
Yeah. C++, Rust, Python. I've seen like every major language pop out with something.
Yeah. And I love it that they're using their own system to rebuild it, because it makes me happy.
It just makes me happy.
There's some joy I have in all of this.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
there's no joy they're having in any of it. They don't seem to be having a great time.
No. But it's brought up like all of these like legal questions around the actual ownership and legality around source code and particularly like source code leaks. Because typically, if source code for decompilation and recompilation to be protected, those have to be done in what's called a clean room environment. You cannot have prior knowledge of the architecture or the source code to be able to decompile it yourself. It has to be a fully individualized effort. So if you're a former developer who worked on the team, you can't then just leave and then start decompiling the code, even if you don't have access to the source anymore, because you used to have access to the source. That's a legal and a civil issue. But because this wasn't like Nintendo got hacked and source code for some of their games got leaked. You can't download that and then reuse that because you didn't obtain it through legal means. Because Anthropic posted it, because it was pullable from their servers on just like an open basis, there's no protection for that. You don't have to decompile in a clean room anymore. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Again, I am not a lawyer. This is my interpretation and very brief overview of intellectual property laws, but I'm pretty well versed in DMCA and other things, and so, but that's my interpretation of it, is Anthropic's kind of screwed here.
Yeah, it's a big mess for them, and there's something about just the company that pirated everything, and now...
Yeah. Oh, now you're going to sue over copyright claims and dispute? Oh, now it's not okay? Someone in my Discord said, just tell the judge that you downloaded their source code strictly for training data. None of it will actually be used in a retail product. Because that's how they got away with it.
Yeah. All these companies just... I like that LLMs exist. There's a part of me that likes it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I have some self-hosted ones. I play with it. I mentioned I've been testing some OpenClaw things. And there's so much interesting things you can do when you're having a conversation with a corpus of knowledge. I love the way you can just query it and structure things. I've used this a lot. Like I was in a stupid short I made today for April Fools. I was like, you know what I want? I want a button that doesn't let me opt out, that I have to chase around the screen. You know, those little JavaScript things that you see. And I'm like, I need this for my B-roll. And I'm like, hey, Gemini, write this. This is what I want. It just built it immediately. And it was like, it took no time at all. It was one query, one reply. Then I said I had one minor error in it. I said, go ahead and fix this, and boom. And it was like, cool. Now that's my B-roll, is me chasing around a button that won't let you click. It's stupid, but like these are fun things you can do. I also, I got to go back and screenshot a few things on Gemini, because I also hate LLMs on the other side, because it gives you some really bad advice. It was really trying to convince me Proxmox could do something it cannot do.
Yeah.
It gives bad sysadmin advice because it's based on Reddit.
Yeah.
And that happens. See, sometimes people upvote the best answer, not the right answer. So the best answer is RMRF. The right answer is not RMRF. So such is life. Overall, I like them, but of course the hype cycle, the data centers, the memory crisis, all of this is a disaster related to stupid things.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's come out this last week as well is Anthropic and OpenAI. They're burning $3 in cost for every $1 of revenue. And every LLM sounds low. That's the publicly available figures. I think the number is significantly higher than that. Yeah. So like Sam Altman, you know, the story a couple of weeks, they're shutting down Sora. And I think my response was, who knew that lighting $5 billion on fire wasn't a valid business model?
And it produced just tons of garbage Disney copyright stuff that was terrible for all parties involved. It was not good. It was just trash. I really, because I don't go, I'm like you, I don't use a lot of like the Instagram and things like that. My wife does. And I look over her shoulder when she was just surfing brain rot. And I'm just like, this is some of the worst slop ever.
Yeah.
This is just so dumb. And I have a few friends that send me that stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just not amusing to me.
Yeah.
And I have a good sense of humor. Maybe I'm too old school. I want memes made by real people.
Yeah, I want free range, open source,
Artisanal memes.
Artisanal memes. Exactly.
Show me some creativity. Don't just animate some stupid thing. Although, I gotta admit, I've done a couple because I'm too lazy to Photoshop now. I have done face swaps. My friend Cody, he's memeable. So he's one of my cybersecurity friends. So there is a whole array of Cody in every meme that I have that I post in these large group chats. So it's like I have definitely used it for that. Whatever. He works in cybersecurity, and he's one of those people who rants about working in cybersecurity a bit about, 10th person a day I had to tell to close RDP.
Yeah.
So I did like the smoking meme of Cody standing outside smoking, which is the Ben Affleck one. Like, those are useful reasons to use it.
Yeah,
To make memes of friends.
Yeah.
Shows that you care.
Well, one of my favorites online has got to be the I know you're not a huge sports fan, but the Minnesota Vikings 9 meme with Christian McCaffrey. He's their quarterback, and he came on record and said he has an alternate ego when he takes the field, and he calls him 9, and he's like a bloodthirsty killer and things like that. And so there's this picture of him going around. That's this one right here. And he's got like the eye black dripping down his face, and that's 9. Well, he also is pretty terrible. And so what they've done is turned it into a meme with face swaps and jerseys. And so every time a quarterback has a terrible performance, they put their head on the 9 jersey. And it's just great.
Sports memes are great. Like I once again, that's a valid use of all of this.
Yeah. Like I don't mind the face swap. I don't mind clever prompts for AI or like image replacement things like, hey, make this person instead. I think that's really funny. I don't like the pure image generation ones because they never look right like the person. There's always weird things. But man, if you can just get it to focus on the face or a jersey, it does a really, really good job with that. And if I can spend 30 seconds in a prompt instead of 5 minutes in Photoshop, that's awesome.
That's how I feel. And it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And it does a decent job. I mean, Gemini loads up Nano Banana, and away we go.
I used to when I had some downtime, I would be on Reddit, and I would see some funny comment or something like that, and I would challenge myself to do a 5-minute Photoshop and make a funny image or a meme of whatever that was. And so I'd literally set a stopwatch, and I'd open Photoshop, and that includes finding your images and then editing them all together and then hitting export. And the timer goes off, you hit export, and it's either postable or it's not. And you get really good at learning tools in Photoshop really quickly by doing things like that. And yeah, they're crude, and yeah, they look terrible, but if they can be funny, that's awesome.
We'll take crude and terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something almost better about crude and terrible sometimes than the more polished, over-polished look, I think. Because what generation is this? I think it's my son's generation that likes the deep-fried memes. The ones that have been like... They have all.
That's a Gen Z. That's a Gen Z thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Deep fried memes. I kind of like it. There's something I enjoy. Like, we're just gonna use these until they're blurry.
Yeah.
We're gonna start out with way about half the percent of pixels we need. Oh man. Did you hear that AMD did not buy Intel today?
I did hear that. So I don't remember who. It was TechSpot who. Let me pull up the original, and then we'll pull up the response one. Hold on. Oh, and my computer's deciding that YouTube Studio is done. Okay, there we go. Have you run into the bug with YouTube Studio that any browser you open it in, if you're live streaming and it goes for more than about an hour, it'll CPU spike your usage and Happens on my M4 all the time. What's funny is it was also happening on my PC before I swapped, and I've tried running YouTube Studio on my Mac in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari, and it's a bug that exists across the platform.
Yeah, it sometimes crashes to me too. So
Yeah.
it just
or it just like straight up crashes. But right there, my CPU utilization went from 28% to 98%, and we started dropping frames in the video. It just, and YouTube won't even acknowledge that there's an issue, but there's definitely an issue.
Yeah. I have an M4 Max. I watch it spike this M4 Max once in a while. It destroys the smaller, lesser machine.
Yeah. Well, I've got the M4 base, so I'm 10 core and only 4 in my performance, so give me a break. TechSpot, their April Fool's joke for today was AMD says it will buy Intel, completing the strangest reversal in chip history. The underdog bought the incumbent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great article.
Yeah.
I love this.
It was pretty funny.
The internet went wild this morning.
Yeah, especially the implication that Intel finally yesterday shipped their very first Panther Lake product. March 31st is the official launch date for Panther Lake, and April 1st they're being bought by AMD. I just love the with that.
Great juxtaposition. Good timing.
Yeah.
Good article.
No,
It's better than my April Fool's Day joke.
Yeah. No, AMD is not buying Intel. There's a whole host of reasons that will never happen, least of which is competition. You have two, look, we run PCs on x86. I know Jeff Geerling will argue that there's a third alternative. It's coming, but it has no market penetration yet. So
right.
Yeah. So no, AMD will not buy the only other x86 manufacturer on the planet. I've said this before. You know who might? Nvidia.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me.
Because Nvidia is not necessarily a direct competitor.
No.
They sell to very different markets.
And I really don't want to see. No, I think this is cute. Someone says there's still an antitrust rule here in the United States. I remember those days.
You
when we
sweet
talked
summer
about
child.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Remember our youth when Ma Bell got broken up, or when AT&T had to split off Singular because they had too many customers, or when Microsoft got slammed by the Justice Department for anti-competitive actions for Internet Explorer and cutting off competition.
Yeah.
What happened to those days?
Yeah. Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
This was my April Fool's joke, was the
the Infinity box. Yeah.
Hardware privacy box. It works just like the real corporate ones where you set the toggle to, privacy. I'm trying to opt out.
Yeah. Have you uploaded the firmware yet that does random actions for the lever press? There's one out there that does like really cute things with the lever that comes back out and pushes. It's not just like a binary on and then flip off real quick. There's one that will like open the lid and slowly come off. There's another one that'll fight you with the switch.
Nice. I might buy a multi-switch one because this is like trying to set Microsoft settings.
Right. I swear I just turned that off.
Yeah, we turned it back on. There was another update.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I said Christian McCaffrey. I should have been JJ McCarthy. Sorry. Wrong name.
One of those names.
I knew who I was talking about. It's 9. I was talking about 9, not the other guy. God,
Not the other guy.
I got that right.
So, is there hope in our future for memory prices?
Over the last couple of days, at least, it seems that memory prices are stabilizing and or maybe starting to fall. Consumer prices, like it was $500 for a dual 32 gig kit of DDR5 just a week or so ago. And we've seen prices fall to about $379 for a Corsair Vengeance kit. I saw prices as low as about $320 for some other kits, like some 5600 MTS memory. So a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of probably a correction to an over worried market. but I also don't think we're out of this. I know there's been some like financial news that OpenAI can't actually buy 40% of the world's memory allocation. Who would have thought that Sam Altman lied about that? Yeah.
He also was able to raise a bunch of capital, but I don't know how true that is either.
Yeah. They say they raised 120 billion in the IPO, but what it ended up being is companies who have previously made investments in it got their shares reevaluated under the new valuation mark, not the valuation mark at which they bought in, which inflated everything about 3x. So they didn't actually bring in 120 billion. They had 40 billion and reevaluated to say we're worth 120 now.
Yeah, and they did some multiplication, and now there was more.
Yeah. It's a lot of math involved.
Yeah. No one really wants to talk about the math. But the good math here is the stock prices of these companies, Micron and such, that are manufactured memory, have gone down. Not the memory prices have not, but their stock prices have. So maybe that's an indicator. But then again, the stock market has not been rational for, well, it is getting further away from rational than it has ever been.
Yeah.
There is one other time it was this irrational, but it was the 1920s and I wasn't around.
Yeah. So. I mean, the closest thing we have to look at is, 2008. There's none of the hallmarks of 2008 going on right now. Certainly not overvaluation of real estate and technology following a dot-com bomb. Certainly none of the...
Yeah. Well, the subprime AI crisis is a little different.
Yeah.
So, it's because people won't lose their houses, but Altman might lose some data centers.
Yeah.
So it's a very different fall that happens. I'm not saying as the average humans that are probably watching this right now, so I feel Sam Altman doesn't watch, but
probably
if you are
not. Yeah.
Here. Anyways, I feel
I've been 20 feet from him before.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel that we'll be impacted, but maybe not so much because there's not houses to take. Although some people may be invested in it, but like most of my day-to-day or people who just do a day-to-day job of not directly in tech will be a lot less impacted compared to the other one. So
yeah, no one outside of Sam Altman is probably going to lose their house, or executives at these companies.
He may only lose one or two of his.
Yeah,
houses,
we only visit that one in July anyway. Yeah, so there's going to be stuff like that. There's going to be valuations of companies that crumble. There's going to, look at Microsoft down 28% or something like that year over year. Their worst fiscal year since 2008. Again, another parallel there. There's going to be some companies that bought all the Kool-Aid, drank all the Kool-Aid, wondered why the Kool-Aid was gone, and why they can no longer sell Kool-Aid. So
that's because I've heard estimates, several of them, and Ed Zitron's working on this, that he thinks that the Claude Code $200 per month is roughly $10,000 a month in cost.
Yeah.
That's how subsidized it is. Yep. And that I told it to one of my friends who likes AI, and he also said, I think that's low. That's his reply. And he's a numbers guy. And I said, I'm with you on this. I said, I'm trying to be rational, but yeah. There's somebody that will pay $10K a month. They won't pay it to run OpenClaw, but there are functional things you can get out of it. So when it gets an adjustment, it's not going to go away. There are people who go, well, it does do good coding, and I can get things done with this. I'm going to use it very sparingly.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to not make memes of my friend Cody.
Yeah.
Cody will be upset if I don't make more memes, but he'll understand that I don't have the $10,000 a month in tokens it would take to make another Cody meme.
Yeah,
there's sacrifices that had to be made,
and that's where I've placed most LLMs anyway. Is I'm not saying there's zero value in LLMs. There's certainly value in a machine being able to interpret human speakable, readable text and give human readable output. That is one of the holy grails and hallmarks of what you need for generalized AI and better interaction with computers and all of the different things that come with that. The problem is what we have right now is a whole bunch of snake oil saying that you can replace your entire programming team with one subscription to Claude. And it's like, no, you can't. You can make a good and knowledgeable programmer more efficient, but you can't replace a junior. You still have to have someone who knows, understands, can audit, implement, bug fix, etc. AI can't do that. Nor can AI prompt for what you actually need. And I was talking to Vince was on the show last week, and he goes, yeah, I use LLMs, and I'll use it to crank out some regular code that I have to write on a pretty routine basis. But then I have to go through and audit it and bug fix it and check it. And it certainly makes me more efficient, but it doesn't replace me because it still needs me. Vice versa, it can't turn someone like me into a programmer. Sure, I can be a script kiddie. I can be a way more efficient script kiddie, but I don't understand what's being written. And I've said this many times, I'm a terrible programmer. It's not the way my brain functions. It's not going to turn me into a programmer that can replace someone like Vince. It's not going to turn me into some superpower of coding.
I will admit, it has made me something my English teacher never thought I would be. As a better writer.
Yeah.
I know what I want to say. I am not good at putting all those words into a coherent sentence occasionally. And so it is a grammatically correct sentence.
Yeah.
With proper language usage.
Yeah.
It does a good job of that for me. But yeah, just like I brought up earlier about the Proxmox problems, it just kept making stuff up. And when I drilled it, it says, hey, click the 3 dots in the Proxmox backup server because you can move a existing backup to a new namespace. That's not true. Those 3 dots don't exist.
Yeah.
Next thing it told me, use the scissor icon to click the scissor icon. I even showed the little scissor icon because I said that those 3 dots don't exist. So I told it. So it replaced it with use the scissor icon. The scissor icon will let you move backups to a new namespace. I'm like,
sure, if I'm using the Windows snipping tool,
yeah, I'm like,
I can drag and drop the image of the backups, and look, they're in the new namespace now.
Yeah, that's the trim tool, so you can trim your backups. That is an icon in Proxmox.
Yeah.
And I told it, no, that is not what that icon does. And it says, wow, you're right again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was right twice.
Mm-hmm.
It recognized that it was wrong once, and it recognizes right twice, and I don't understand. I was like, we're not getting here. I said, I linked to the documentation. I said, read the docs.
Yep.
Tom, that's not possible after reviewing the docs. Okay, cool. Glad we're all on the same page now. I knew this already. I've been playing with LLMs because I'm working on a potential video for why you should or should not use LLMs in your home lab. Like how careful you have to be and how you really should, even though you may thought it was smart enough to go read the Proxmox documentation, add it to the context. Read these docs.
Yeah.
No, not like, did you read these docs? Is not a question. Go read these and then tell me how to do a thing. RAG helps a lot with that because it pulls in the context you're looking for, and then you're querying a narrower context, and you can get good answers. There's good ways to do this. Wendell's working on a new thing. I gotta see if he's got it on GitHub yet, but I thought it was really interesting. Is it called Turnstile? I don't know if you looked at it, but it's a way to use LM for system tools, but it constantly loops in the RAG by pulling in the docs for what you want it to do before it does the thing, to keep the context where it needs to be.
Okay.
So there's ways to make this work. Like, we're getting better at how we manipulate these things.
Yeah.
And that is a really good way to do it because you've narrowed its context, saying this documentation is all you're going to need to know. Please read from this documentation and set the ports on this particular switch based on this switch's documentation. Give me the command to it. Fantastic.
Yeah. And you know, I've made statements before, like, you know, I've done videos on a couple different AI subjects before. The value in LLMs always comes down to RAG. It is basically specifically training your LLM on your specific use case. Generalized LLMs are awful and hallucinate all the time.
Yep.
If you build an LLM with a specific use case of customer support for your product line. Train your LLM on your product line, on your documentation, on everything else, and then you can ask it anything, because the only sources it's going to seek are things within your documentation. And it's a way better way to work. Quick hello to Mr. Gearling, who just waved in the chat. Yep. Hello. But if you want an LLM to be successful, it has to be narrow focused on the things that you need it focused on. And the whole promise of generalized AI or one single chatbot that knows all of human existence and knowledge and is basically Wikipedia, that's a pipe dream. Like, at least at this point in the technology life cycle.
Yep.
There's too much information there. You can't possibly pull from it all.
No. I was laughing because my YouTube, I pop out the chat and the chat crashed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something with YouTube as it relates to live streaming.
It's been running too long.
Yeah. Don't know what it is.
Jeff and Jeff. Which one's the lesser Jeff? I remember that from the 45 Shies event. One of you.
I am Jeff, and Gearling is other Jeff.
Other Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. Not lesser Jeff, just other Jeff.
Yeah, not lesser Jeff. No, we're equals, but he is other Jeff. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hi, Jeff.
Too much Jeff. Plenty of Jeff. That's right. Plenty of Jeff here. Oh, then there's Red Shirt Jeff, but that is a different. Yes.
That's the one we're both terrified of. Like, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, everyone's a little scared of Red Shirt Jeff. He's breaking DNS somewhere right now as we speak.
Jeff the Lesser, going biblical on us.
Yes.
When we were expecting our second child, we went to find the gender, weren't sure, didn't get a gender identification right away. So we were kicking around names, and I was talking to a friend of mine who was also pregnant with their second child. And so we were talking about names. And I said, actually, we're thinking about Elijah for a name if it's a boy. And my friend goes, you can't name it Elijah because we found out we're having a boy and we're naming ours Elijah. And I said, well, I guess we can't be friends anymore. Like, we're not going to be able to hang out because I can't yell, hey, Elijah, and have two kids run up. That's not going to be okay. And he goes, well, you can still use Elijah. It just has to be Elijah the Lesser.
Naming conventions are hard.
Yep.
Programmers face that problem all the time.
Yep. What do you mean that name already exists? Gosh. People asking me today how I possibly got firstname.lastname@gmail.com, and it's like, well, I was there when it was created, so...
Same.
Yeah. It's kind of first in line.
Yep. I knew I was in tech back then, so I had it 2004? Yeah, that's how old my Gmail address is, so.
Yeah.
I don't really use that when I have it. I maintain it.
Yeah.
But my Lawrence Systems is my primary Gmail domain. So.
Yeah. Yep. Same with me. I have that one. I maintain it. I've created all of my kids their own. So all of my kids have firstname.last. Literally as soon as we decided on the name and had a signed birth certificate, I went up and signed for a Gmail account. So
yeah,
just to make sure they got it. Like,
once my daughter was older and I knew she wasn't going in tech, I did let her domain expire. I just said I'm.
Yeah.
I held on to it for 18 years. I knew at 16 years, my daughter was very determined she's going into medical. And now that she is 25, wow, I think about that a second.
Yeah.
So I've let her domain expire several years now. So she does not care.
Yeah.
And she chose I didn't bother doing the Gmail thing, and she chose a completely unique thing that is more her for her Gmail address that she does use.
Yep. I have them for the kids, just in case they ever want them. My oldest has a Steam account now. It's linked to her email account, and so things like that. It helps when you're starting to bring them into the digital world, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Now my daughter acquired my old gaming name and still games under it.
Nice.
And she's actually for a while she was doing, can't remember, she's done a couple different games, but she does competitive stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see that my old gaming name is like still alive. And I wonder if anyone follows that, because she generally, being a girl gamer, I've learned from my daughter, who's a very tough girl, but also says I game on mute a lot. So
yeah,
the moment they figure out you're a girl, the comments come.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but it's funny to see my gaming name live on. I wonder if people think like I'm still playing.
Yeah.
She never gets contact. She never gets contacted by me, because apparently all the people with the gray hair like me also gave up they just don't log in their Steam account. Mine lives on because I gave it to my daughter.
Yeah.
My old friends are no longer there.
Yep. Yeah, no, like my sister lives with us. She's she games online a lot. She's talked about, I don't get into voice. I don't do that. My oldest is now discovering that as well. Like, yeah, it's a tough world out there, and I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my own Steam account now. I don't game. I have not logged into it in a while. I was thinking about doing it, and then I get distracted, and I want to play games, but they just somehow, I got to find something that holds my interest.
Yeah, so, that's one of my biggest
I bought the
things.
claw game, then I never played it. I did buy it. I got that far.
Yeah. Trying to find a game that is the right balance of sucks me in but doesn't suck me in too hard. Like, I'm interested, but I can also play it for an hour and then walk away. Like, doesn't work for personalities like mine, where I'll develop an interest for a particular game for since November. I think I've put 240 hours into Crab Champions, and I don't have 240 hours to sink into games, let alone in 5 months. So yeah.
Figuring out that balance is hard.
Yeah.
I started playing the Switch because I realized I hadn't finished a couple Mario games. And my son wasn't using his Switch. Well, he has a new Switch, so he doesn't use his old Switch. I took his old Switch and started playing Mario games. So that's been fun. I just enjoy the Mario games.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's easy.
Yep.
I've been traveling, so it makes it easy because it's just like portable. And it's with me. I played it in a plane and just kept running through all of them. I've now maybe done the old classic Mario games with my retro gaming system enough times that I'm enjoying the new ones now. So.
Nice. Yeah. I love most of the Mario games. I am
They're just so good.
Yeah. Like Mario 64 is a classic. I really like Mario Odyssey. Believe it or not, I've never played Mario Galaxy 1 or 2. Like, I just never really got into them.
I just started it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
Mario World, spot on.
Mario
love
World,
that game.
classic. Yeah, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yep, and Mario Wonder, the new one for Switch 2.
I really I love Wonder. I love the 2D platform style Mario games. Not necessarily hit or miss on
Wonder
the 3Ds.
had such beautiful art in it.
Yeah,
like the style, the creativity. Me and my wife played it together all the way through, and I kind of want to just play it again solo because I had so much fun with it.
Yeah, it's so good. Wonder is good. Odyssey is probably my favorite 3D Mario. Even surpassing Mario 64.
Yeah,
like,
Odyssey was great.
I love some of the creativity of some of the things you can do with it. But
throwing the hat around and
the movement mechanics were so good in that.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But I've been playing back through a lot of turn of the century. God, that sounds bad to phrase it like that. Turn of the century Zelda games. So I went back and was playing Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Link Between Worlds for the 3DS. That is a very underappreciated classic. Like, I love Breath of the Wild. I love some of the rest. Ooh, that looks...
You should come here.
Nice.
Traverse City. Representing local places here. Traverse City is a cherry capital of Michigan.
There you go. Ooh, cherry capital. Now them's fighting words, because I live in the cherry city. We are Salem, Oregon. We are cherry everything.
I guess Salem's probably at the same or similar elevation than Traverse City. They get a whole lot more snow in Traverse City than you do, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They get buried.
Yeah. No, Salem has a sister city in Japan, and the story goes sometime in the 1880s, 1890s, something like that. So 30, 40 years after Oregon became a state, 1859, we hooked up with a sister city in Japan, and one of the gifts that they sent us was a lot of cherry trees, which is now set up in the Capitol yard out front of the Salem state capitol. So cherry blossom season is just huge around here. I have a cherry tree directly out my window, and it's freaking gorgeous. I used to have a cherry tree in my front yard, and I hated that thing with a fiery passion because it was seeded cherries. It would drop pits, and the birds would get into it, and they'd bring the cherries over to your car and drop it on the hood of your car, and so you'd end up with like these cherry stains all over the place.
Yeah.
The petals are a nightmare. Like, nothing good about cherry trees from owning one, but I love looking at them.
Yeah, they look pretty. That's what ends.
We also had a pair of mourning doves take residence in our cherry tree, which are protected in the state of Oregon, which means I can't cut the tree down because they nested there every year. And every single morning at like 5 a.m. during the summer, we'd wake up to hoo 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 hoo.
Oh yeah, they're noisy.
Yeah, that. I hated that tree.
Oh, so I traveled to go hang out with one of my friends at their tech company in Wisconsin, and I was there for about a week. Wisconsin, lived up to the hype of being the cheese place, and I had some wonderful cheese, wonderful food, great time. But what I didn't know, and this was just like where I was in Appleton, roughly, or Wasu.
Yeah.
Which I landed in Appleton, went to Wasu.
Yeah.
Anyways, ginseng capital of the world.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I learned, I was like, this is just unusual here. So I thought that was kind of a novel thing that they have there. I also didn't know you can't grow ginseng twice in the same place. Once it's grown on some farm, all the farms are leases, because once it's grown on that land, it can't grow again once they harvest it. So they have to go somewhere else, because whatever it pulls out of the ground, the nutrients it needs are gone, and they don't have any easy way to replenish it. So they always have to plant each cultivation on a new place.
Yeah, so you got to cycle it through. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you can never cycle back to place one again. So all ginseng farms are leases.
Interesting.
Which sounds like that. Yeah, because there's no point in owning the farm. Land. It was just weird. It was fun to be there though.
Yeah.
The fun things you learn when you travel sometimes.
Yeah. I did spend some time in Appleton a number of years ago. I actually went and did a Sangoma training back when they were so I've flown into that airport. I've spent some time in there. Yeah.
It's a little place.
Yeah.
Did you have the cheese while you were there though?
Look, I know Wisconsin talk's a big game. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off here real quick. Wisconsin talk's a really big game. I had some of their cheese. Their cheese was good. Their beer, I'm not a huge fan of their beer. They say they have this huge beer culture there. And you go, okay, let's go to a tap house. Let's find a local place with like 17 taps. Every time I found a tap house, it was nothing but Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, Busch Light, like all the domestics. And then they go, oh, and then we have our craft beer section, which is nothing but New Glarus. We have Spotted Cow, and then the other one that no one will shut the hell up about. And it's like, okay, what if I want a stout? Oh, we don't have stouts here. Can I have an IPA? Oh, we don't have IPAs here. Okay, so you call yourself a beer capital, but only for New Glarus. Like,
yeah. One thing I will say is we went to some really cool looking breweries. They had IPAs, and I was happy, but it was not a long list. It isn't like it is in Michigan where there's a beer list.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same by where you are. So.
Oh, yeah. No, the local place by me is 40 taps. Every tap, like, they'll have, like, a brewery only has, like, 2 or 3 kegs in the full list. And you can get any style you want. I can get, like, barley wine on tap down at my local place. I can get barrel-aged IPAs and 22% stouts and beers that'll blow your freaking mind by driving 6 minutes. And I went to like 20 different tap houses and pizza joints and things like that in Wisconsin, and it was always the same 12 beers. And And they weren't even that good.
Yeah.
And you talk about the cheese. Look, Tillamook cheese is a thing, which is an hour from my house, Tillamook, Oregon. That's the nationally distributed cheese that everyone loves. That, yeah, I've got better cheese in my backyard and better beer in my backyard. Wisconsin, you talk a big game. I love you. I love your people. Yeah.
Now the funniest thing is I'm staying at I don't know, maybe as a Hilton. I don't know. They booked it. So
Yeah.
I wherever they told me to go.
Yeah.
But, I'm staying at the Hilton, and my favorite thing is any of those hotels is waffle maker. They got because I want to make my own. Well, I do not like fancy resorts. They don't have waffle makers. You got to find the hotels that are just expensive enough to have the waffle maker, and I'm in my happy place.
Yes.
They have coffee at 6 a.m. and a waffle maker.
Yep.
Well, I'm doing my morning waffle, and someone comes up to me and says, "Tom Lawrence?" And I turn around, and I'm like, "Hi." And he happened to be wearing a VMware pullover. To which I was like, "Oh, I know why he knows my name."
Yeah.
And I was like, so I ended up talking to the guy, and he's like, "You live in Wisconsin?" I was like, I made a joke. I'm like, "Well, I wouldn't be in a hotel if I lived here." So, I said, "I'm actually from Detroit visiting some friends." And so, ended up talking to the guy for a minute, but I thought it was so random to get recognized from YouTube in a little hotel in just outside of Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which one of my other friends had come downstairs. I was talking to the guy, and he's like, "Who, you know someone here?" And I'm like, "Well, no, from YouTube." He goes, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah. Novella says Jeff did not go to the right places in Wisconsin. Look, I'm sure, Milwaukee has a way better culture than Appleton, but look, I can drive to random dots on the map in Oregon that people in Oregon haven't heard of, and they've got 32 taps in Tillamook cheese, and so. Yeah, I'm a little biased, and I also made a comment during the last month, because we've been doing a lot of mixology. I had one cocktail that called for some brandy, and so I grabbed a bottle of brandy. Was it Corbel? I think it was Corbel. The fun thing about Corbel is they sell like 700,000 bottles a year, and 70% of their sold inventory goes to Wisconsin, because Wisconsin just drinks that much brandy. And so... yeah, I'll give Wisconsin the brandy capital of the world, but beer and cheese? Come on.
Look, I'm just saying, you brought Milwaukee. I've had Milwaukee's best, not the best.
Yeah. No, that is their best, and that's the joke.
Not the best. There are betters.
People in Wisconsin know that I love you, but
yeah. I got nothing against it. It's not a bad place. I enjoyed my time there. I'm going to go back.
Oh, so did I, yeah.
I've been motorcycling a lot. Me and my friends started a motorcycle channel, so that's been one of our side projects and things. But the part where we're excited about is, because it's not that far, it's not a huge drive from here, is they have these adventure trails, and each state has their own. Many states have their own, and I love the one in Wisconsin. It's the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. Nice. The Twat. So... we're going to go ride the Twat. There's a lot of sandy parts in the Twat. There's a few wet parts of the Twat. Yeah. There's a lot of places in the Twat to ride. So, sorry if I got you demonetized here, but
there it is. Well, we're past the 2-hour mark. It's fine.
Oh, we're past the 2-hour mark, so we're good. Yeah, we're good.
It's craft computing after dark at this point.
Yeah. So you can look at it.
I hate sand. It's coarse and irritating and gets everywhere.
The coarse, irritating part of the Twat we're riding today. We are so looking forward to that trip. We will make that trip all about the Twat. I'm excited for this.
Damn it, Tom. What did I say about comments that get me demonetized? Come on.
As long as they're funny.
Yeah, that was funny. You.
It's a real thing. You can Google it, man. We're talking about a real thing.
Yep. Here, so. No, Oregon has hundreds and hundreds of miles of adventure trails, and my dad used to have a cabin that butted right up against BLM, Bureau of Land Management land, and same kind of thing, hundreds of miles of trails just out his back door, and so motorcycle, quad, snowmobile, I've driven everything, thousands upon thousands of miles across those trails.
Yeah. It is on my to list. You guys have some different trails over there, but
Yeah.
that's really far away. That's like a few days of driving. So I
Yeah.
like the couple hours of driving I have to do the ones here.
Yeah.
And the twat's not that far away either. So.
Yeah, for me it was like an hour and a half of driving, and I could be where I need to be. You know, I'm an hour and a half from Mount Hood. I'm an hour from the coast. I'm 2.5 hours from Mackenzie Pass. It's a great place to be. You know, when you're an hour from the beach and an hour from skiing and an hour from some of the best waterfalls and hiking trails that you've ever seen, and I love where I live.
Yeah. That is, I mean, you live in a beautiful area. Yeah. So, I mean, I joke about Michigan. Think about the beauty you're giving up before you move to the gritty area that is here.
Yeah. And
it is also very flat here. Very flat. I still have to drive a number of hours to get somewhere that is not flat. And when I say not flat, it's not what you would consider elevation by your standards. It is at least some hills.
Yeah, it's really funny because we recently fully converted our house to full EV. We sold my wife's minivan and bought a Kia EV9, and we're loving the hell out of that thing. But we don't get quite the efficiency that more in my car in the Bolt, because my Bolt has a resistive heater which sucks 7,500 watts down. So if I want to stay warm in the winter, it tanks my battery life. Also, we live 300 feet up a hill. They recommend if you're driving an EV, you'll get the best you'll get the best range if you don't change elevation. There's no option for that.
Right.
I live 2 miles up a hill and a 300-foot elevation change anytime I want to go to the grocery store. And so that kind of limits my options, or limits my range. And for the first 4 months that I had the EV, it was during the summer. I was getting the claimed Chevy Bolt, 4 miles per kilowatt hour, super high efficiency. It was great. As soon as the temperature dropped below 60, I was getting sub 3 miles per kilowatt hour. And so it took 35% of my range just overnight and gone. And then when it was freezing temperature, I'm getting like 2 miles a kilowatt hour. Because if I drive in town, I'm driving up this every day. And EVs don't like to fight gravity. Trying to explain like the efficiency differences to my wife also, because now she's living the EV life. We've got a Kia EV9 now. That thing is way more efficient and way less affected by things like elevation and turning on the heater, which is great. But if anyone's looking for an EV or thinking about doing the conversion themselves, your range is a lot more unpredictable than even EV owners like to claim, especially if you throw something at it that's difficult for it.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, we know gas engines are 20 to 25% efficient at turning the suck, bang, boom, boom, go into locomotion. 80% of the energy generated is going into powering the vehicle through the alternator, running your air compressor, or just as waste heat energy.
Waste heat's the majority of
it.
So.
Yeah. The majority of it is waste heat. And so gas engines are 25, some of the best ones are 30% efficient at making your car actually go. What happens if you go up a hill and all of a sudden you're 15% less efficient? Well, 15% of 30% is only 5%, 4.5%. And so you will see a 4.5% decrease in your MPG, which you probably won't even notice. In an EV that is 90% efficient at turning energy into locomotion, if you see a 15% decrease because something in your efficiency chain changed, that's a pretty major decrease. And so we're a lot more susceptible to things like headwind or elevation change or any number of things that most gas vehicles would just breeze right through. Oh no, I only went 290 instead of 310 miles this time. No, with an EV, it's I only went 170 instead of 240.
Well, the cold is a massive factor. I mean, when it's like 10 below zero here, it's not just freezing. Michigan gets a lot colder. Another reason to really consider heavily before you decide to move.
Yeah.
We do have negative wind chills that stay for days and days.
Yeah.
So EVs don't love that.
Yeah. we're not like completely ignorant of temperatures like that here in Oregon. Like I said, my dad's cabin, we'd normally be 0 degrees. You know, and so, you know, I've lived weeks at a time in places like that with 7 feet of snow, and I could do it. It's not enjoyable, but I could do it. But at the same time, the way I like to describe the Willamette Valley, where 95% of Oregonians live, is the weather is not actively trying to kill us.
Yep.
We are temperate. We float between 35 and 95. That's where we live. It's neither too cold nor too hot to sustain human life, and I love that. We don't get hurricanes. We don't get tornadoes. The only thing we have to worry about is the big one, the earthquake that was probably made up by real estate moguls in the 1940s.
Yeah. All right, we've wandered off topic a bit.
We have.
Is it time to wind it down?
I think so. Yeah, it's about 10 minutes past the hour. We did have one last thing, little footnote here that I'm kind of excited about, and that is Jensen Huang is now set to deliver the Computex 2026 keynote on behalf of Nvidia, and the rumor is that the N1 and N1X is going to be officially unveiled. You might not know what that is, but you've probably heard of it before. It is the GB10 a la the DGX Spark, but the consumer version of it. And so, same silicon by all accounts. Like, this is still probably the 20-core ARM processor, 10 efficiency, 10 performance cores, and roughly RTX 5070 levels of CUDA cores, with some slight performance tweaks, probably in favor of the GPU, giving the GPU a little bit more horsepower in this one. Competing directly with products like AMD Strix Halo. And so right now, where you have to spend upwards of $400 to $4,500 to get a DGX Spark GB10 based system, whether it's from Dell or Asus or Nvidia Direct, this might be a consumer version that maybe only has 64 gigs of RAM instead of 128, but might be a pretty dynamite little workstation that's ARM powered, super low power overall, and can still do some pretty decent, you know, AI powered things because it is an APU with 32 or 64 gigs of RAM. Yeah. So something to keep an eye on as Computex rolls around, and Nvidia officially entering the consumer space with a full APU product.
Nice. Oh, fun times.
Yeah. All right. Well, the other thing that we have to consider is if I move to Michigan, I'm 3 hours ahead of time. It's going to throw my whole sleep schedule into disarray. So I don't know that I want to do that. Like, I like being the laid back West Coast guy. You know, it's only 8 o'clock here. I can go have another beer if I wanted.
Yeah, it's 11.
You
11
can't
here.
do that. You got to wake up in the morning.
Sometimes, yeah. So, well, fun times.
Yes. All right. Well, this has been episode 427 of Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube. Next week, a little bit of a different setup. We won't be broadcasting at 6 p.m. We'll be broadcasting closer to 8 p.m. next week. My daughter is going into high school, and she has her first meeting about classes and structure and the way the school works, and for some reason they scheduled it at Wednesday at 6 p.m. and I'm going to be there. So when I get back, we'll get on the air sometime between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, most likely, but we'll kick an old school later than
really
usual.
Late for Tom.
Yeah, a little late for Tom, and so I jumped Tom up a week. Next week we got Rhett on the show, so he's West Coast, so he's laid back. He can stay up late. It's fine.
Awesome.
Tom, anything good of the order before we go? Anything you're working on? Fun things that...
I will have the review done of that Harbor device. I will also have a review done rather soon of the really cool new features that Unify came out with object recognition and everything on their NVRs, which includes being able to upload an object and say, where else was this beer can? And I can actually upload a picture of it and find all the pictures of the inlings that it may have in its index. They got some new stuff.
So you're working your own personal flock network at home. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Right.
And I mentioned you earlier, and I'll have an official announcement of some new things Tom will be doing in
Yeah.
the future, which is related to cybersecurity. So
Yeah, Tom's doing some new things. I'm kind of excited to hear more about this when this officially kicks off. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because I'm going to be doing all the social media for a big company, well, a big piece of it.
Okay.
That's how. Yeah, it's really interesting what my the stuff I'm interested. I actually. I can't tell if I'm scared or not because it's kind of like having a job, but it's also, I don't know. I like all the people. I already know them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I know where you're going. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And I can't wait until next week when we learn a little bit more publicly. But
It's going to be public tomorrow. I'm making it tomorrow. Next week is when I start. Tomorrow is when everything goes public.
Okay. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already recorded the video. I just got to hit the publish button. So,
Nice. Very cool.
So, all right.
Cool. Subscribe to Craft Computing. Subscribe to Lawrence Systems. Links to both down in the video description. Thanks again to Meter for sponsoring today's episode. Link in the video description for them. Set up a demo and see how they can help your business with all your network infrastructure. Join us every week here for Talking Heads. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.